Welcome back everyone to my channel Awaken with Padnyaa and welcome back to Empower Hour. I think it has been quite a long since I had broadcasted the 8th episode of Empower Hour. Coming to the today's guest, I think she is so far the youngest speaker on this segment. She's 20, she's a student studying in a college. She's a student. She is absolutely fresh, very positive. She met her twin flame when she was 12 years old. Today she is here to share her almost 8-year journey. It is so refreshing to see such a young person talking with such a clear thought process and discernment and positivity when it comes to this journey, because all of us, we have gone through so much of pain in this journey, and you know how challenging it is to stay positive and in your own power. I think she absolutely sets an amazing example about how to introspect, how to self discern, how to self love, how to identify the things to do your inner work. And yes, there is so much yet to unfold in her life and in her journey after this. But so far, for last 8 years, whatever work she has done and whatever learnings she has gone through are commendable. Amazing thing about her is that she is not afraid to come on my channel and fearlessly share her story. Especially those who are single, who are not married, who have a lot of people who are judging them around, especially when you are in the college, having your friend circle around, your relatives. But I think she has absolutely nailed it even in that factor, that she has absolutely overcome all her fears and she's here fearlessly and bravely and openly to share her story with you all. So let me not waste any more time and let's welcome Rounak Shukla.
Thank you so much. And I just genuinely cannot believe I am having sitting right here and talking to you because I just viewed you as someone who is writing answers and someone who is making videos. I never thought that I would get a chance to speak to you.
I remember when you took a session with me, you were very much excited that can I come and share? And I
Yeah.
really like that because I'm wanting people to come initiate from their side that yes, I do want to share my story, and there are not many. So when I hear something like that, that yes, I want to come and I want to share, that's amazing.
I have been following you for now 4 years now, almost 3 to 4 years. So being coming on your platform and speaking about something that I have experienced firsthand. It's not like something that I have to hear constantly, but something that I experienced firsthand. And sometimes when you experience things, you just want to do nothing but to share it with someone. Like you just want to get it out of your chest. And this is the platform that is actually one of the best things that has ever happened to me, because firstly you are my teacher in this journey, and to be able to get interviewed by you, it's an honor for me. So that is one of the prime reasons why I wanted to like ask you if I can come on Empower. And one thing that I forgot, congratulations on your book. I am very, very happy for you. Very, very thankful to you that you shared your experience with us, because it was very, very relatable, I think, for everyone. How validating it was for me, especially because how I have seen you throughout, writing answers and sharing your experiences. I have noticed a lot of things. So those things were very validating for me as well.
And what has been your challenge? I want to ask this question because there are so many people who have so much to share. They want to share, but they are not yet able to gather that courage or leave whatever the fears they are having in their heart to actually come and show their face and own their story and tell that story from their own mouth. And there are different segments to this, like there are parents in the picture, the societal fears, or what if my relatives see this
Yeah.
video. So what is it for you? Because I'm sure you also have all these things around you, but you have overcome those and ready.
That is the beauty of this journey, which I believe is that you come this fear of judgment from out of you. That is one of the big, I would say, big wounds that I had. Is what was that fear of judgment, right? So in our society, we have this paradigm that if you don't look a certain way, you are unapproachable, or if you don't behave a certain way, you are not, you just don't fit in the society. So for me to overcome the fear of judgment is what has brought me till here. Like if I'm speaking on this platform, it means that I have overcome this fear of judgment. If I make any mistake, I know that if it's okay if people are going to judge me, because I cannot stop them judging me. The only thing I can do from my side is give my best.
And what about your parents?
Yeah, my parents. So I have already discussed bits and pieces with them. I know that my parents trust me enough that everything, every decision that I'm going to make will be right for me. They trust me on that. So if at all, if I make any mistake, they are there to support me, because they know that if I'm making some decision, that means that will be good for me. So I have earned that much trust from my parents. That's why I shared with them that I am going to share this and this and this with Pradnya ma'am, and we have a conversation. And they were very supportive of it. In fact, they told me that, it's a big opportunity for you to showcase yourself to the world without having to fear, any sort of thing. What they will think, what she will think, what he will think. So that's how my parents have been, and especially my dad. He is very supportive of me. He really wants me. Actually, he always wanted me to go on speaking platforms, because he believed that I'm a kind of person, if I have more confidence in me, if I can do better, then I will certainly inspire people as well. That's why he was very excited for me. He was more excited than me. He called me 10 times today to ask me what's the time, when is it going to happen, and please keep your phone on do not disturb mode so that nobody disturbs you while you are talking to her. So these are certain things which they said, and I think that is very beautiful.
Yes, I'm so glad to hear this, because I think your parents definitely need to be applauded for this, because they definitely deserve that due credit. That it's
Definitely.
kind of a living example of how to encourage your child. And I also want to tell to everybody that I think we are getting in and out of different roles. Like sometimes we are a twin flame, sometimes we are a mother of somebody, sometimes we are a daughter of somebody. So we
Definitely.
are shifting our roles, and it's very important to be encouraging and not judge.
I even told them that if I'm doing something right, as in rightfully right, culturally right, then there is nothing wrong with that. I'm not harming anyone. It's not even about good or bad or right or wrong. It's about I am not harming anyone. I'm not talking or I'm not taking anyone's names. I am just speaking about my own experience. So if it is like literally a fairy tale, I don't care. But it is there, so that's why I'm going to share with the world. And then if people want to judge me, they can. They are free to do so.
Amazing, amazing, Ronak. So first question, which probably everybody would be waiting to hear. What is your twin flame story? When did you meet your twin flame? Because I think every story has its own flavor, its own setup, its own setting, how it
Yeah.
started and what happened. So what is it for you?
Now, I would like to narrate this journey into three sections basically: pre awakening, mid awakening, and post awakening. So, pre awakening is the phase of my life where I met my twin. We got into some of the drama, which is very funny actually now when I look at it. But at that time, I'm actually very proud of myself, because I had been through so much. Like, exactly how much pain a twin flame feels. Like, I do not have to explain this to you. You totally relate to it. So, this was something I had gone through when I was like 12, 13, 14, 15 years old. So, imagine a small girl. And I thought that I definitely had done something wrong in my past life, that I am receiving this. But then I realized, after I learned about, spiritual stuff and reincarnation and stuff, that's when I realized, okay, this is not the case. There was a different reason for whatever happened, the way it happened. So, pre awakening, let's start with pre awakening. So, I first met my twin flame in 2015, and I was 12 at that time. So, 12 or mid 12 something, I was going to turn 13 that year, almost entering my teenage years. My twin flame is an year older than me, and we were in the same school. So two of my friends who were also my classmates, they used to live in the same locality as my twin flame. So that's how I got to know him. So he didn't know of me until much later. Like I knew about his existence, but he didn't know about me. So that's how it started. Now, after a few months, like after 2 to 3 months, I knew that I had feelings for him, but I was trying to cover it up because it was like kind of like love at first sight kind of situation. But I didn't really wanted to, actually accept this because firstly, I wanted to focus on my studies at that time. I was very naive. It was a very tender age for me. So I wanted to like focus on myself. I was like, Ronak, no, you do not have to fall for anyone at this moment. You have to like focus on your studies. You have to be brilliant at that. And these all things are just distractions. So it will just probably get over, like infatuation kind of thing. And I believe that it was infatuation, to be honest. Like I thought that it's just a random crush. It will get over after like maybe a week or maybe 15 days. But then this person's face was getting bombarded into my life constantly. Like when I decided that I do not want to see him, like I do not want to catch feelings for him at all, and God wanted to send him towards me after like any time, like randomly I'm going with my friends or in the same like school itself, in the school campus itself, and he would randomly like out of nowhere he would appear. So that would like just make me strike a little bit. Then I actually started developing feelings, but I did not accept it. Now, the main reason which now I realized was that I was very much scared that I would not get reciprocated, like the feelings would not get reciprocated from his side. I was very much scared of what other people would think. That like that's exactly what we just discussed, like fear of judgment. So we, like I said, we live in a society where the paradigm is if you don't look a certain way, you are not going you're not just going to get suitable for this kind of person. And I believe that my twin flame is literally, he's very charming actually. And he is every single thing that a girl would ever want. Like that's how I would describe it. And that's why I also kind of like started believing, okay, he is just out of my league. I do not have to ever look at him. So this is kind of fear which is inducing inside of me at that moment that, okay, he's out of my league. So I should never even discuss about this to him. So then my friends kind of started to notice this. I did not discuss it with anyone because I was scared that they would make fun of me, they would tease me. And because of my body image also, like I had been a chubby kid all along. So I was kind of body shamed the most. And that's why, and also because seeing how pretty girls are on internet, especially teenagers, they have this mind that you have to look like this, your face should look like this, and your body color should look like this. And when you hear people talking about, you know like when you see that in India, especially whenever you are going to marry someone, especially in arranged marriages, they are checking the boxes. Okay, the girl is fair, the girl's forehead is not too big, the girl is slim trim, the girl's height is like this. This kind of agitated me so much. And because we live in this paradigm, it's obvious that we are also going to inhibit it at some point. So we are also checking that boxes. Okay, I am fair. Okay, I am dark skinned. I am brown skinned. I have this kind of lips. I have this kind of teeth. I have this kind of body. So all these parameters do nothing but make you more insecure about yourself because you don't accept yourself at that point. Right. So that's when I started having these kinds of negative emotions towards me, negative insecurities towards me, that okay, I don't look that pretty, he will never like me because I don't look a certain way. So this was a kind of paradigm that I was living in. So this was the main reason which now I understand was at that moment, but I was trying to cover it up by saying, okay, I do not have feelings for him, it's probably just a crush, so I will forget about it much like very fastly. So this is how I covered it up for myself until I couldn't, until I had to accept that okay, I do have feelings for this person, and it's very pure. Actually, it's very genuine. This when a child loves you, like I consider 12 to be a very tender age. It's not something that is
Absolutely.
very adultish or something. So I consider that love to be very pure. I will never say that I had any expectations at that time. Little bit expectations, okay, because I was a kid, but not too much of the expectations. So I tried to hide it for like 3 months. until I no longer couldn't. And my friends kind of like picked it up from my energies. Like, whenever I used to talk about him, or even if they were talking about him, suddenly the topics would come. So my energy would be different. So they picked it up from that. So they would start teasing me, oh, it's your crush, it's your crush. So if he would walk by, so they would like, tease me or something. Now, one of my friends, out of those two friends who used to live in the same locality as him, he created a group on WhatsApp. Now, when he created this group on WhatsApp, he added just me, my twin, and he was the admin of the group. So only three people were in that group. Now, slowly and slowly, like this was the first, actually, I would say, where my journey actually began. So this was like kind of like an initiation process of the journey. So then I started to like normally ask him about his likes and dislikes, about how his studies were going and every single thing. And I got to know that he actually loves playing video games. And that's when I started to, because I wanted to connect with him more, I started to learn how to play video games. I am a kind of person who has never played video games in my entire life. Just that one time when I started to like learn how to play video games, just so I can have this topic of conversation with him. So I started playing with him like online, like normally like video games when you play, and he was very much okay with it. He in fact enjoyed it. He was like, okay, I will make a group and we will play like. But this is how I want to show the everyone who is watching this, is that this is how you conform into something you are not. You are trying to prove yourself. You are trying to, be someone who you are not. Like, I was not the person who wanted to play. It's something I wanted to do because that would help me get in closer contact with him. So this is how people, they do a lot of things. They will change their entire body, just so they will change their dressing sense, they will change their hair colors, or anything that a person would like their partner would like. So they would change themselves into that. So this is the conformity which you should never do, because until and unless you are true to yourself, unless you are being yourself, you will never be likable. So this was something that I was doing at the time, and now I realize that okay, this was I was trying to do because I wanted to be liked by him. I wanted to be in his mind that okay, she is someone who also loves to play video games, and she's kind of like a friend to me, who's very close to me, because she also happens to have same interest as me. But that did not work out, obviously, because I did not want to play video games, and this was something like his friends would also be in those groups, right? So they would make fun of me. And I read some of the chats and I was very disappointed with that. So I stopped doing that. Now, after that, we started getting into drama out of nowhere. Just like you were, there were misunderstandings between you and your twin. In the same way, I also had to go through that. So now I was also having this fear in me that, okay, one day I will get misunderstood by him. So these are all fears, like fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, all these things, fear of judgment, fear of him not reciprocating my love, fear of someone else winning his love, fear of him just going away and me losing him, and just all these little things which were bothering me from inside. All these fears just came landing down at my feet to show me that how I can face these fears, especially at that age, and how I can come beyond that, having more strength and power in you. That's what a fear does to you. Fear is a storm which allows you to know what your power is, what your true strength is. So unless you are facing it, like unless he is rejecting you, you're not going to understand how it feels to be rejected. And still you realize that okay, you are so much worth more than that. You are so much beyond that. Your power is your sovereignty, your power, everything is beyond that. It's above that. And like you say, that the purpose of twin flame is basically to ascend the planet. Like one of the purposes is to ascend the planet into a higher dimensional state. So how are you going to do that when you are on this specific planet? It's the situations will automatically trigger these things in you, and then you will slowly ascend from lower density energies to the higher frequencies. For example, if you are scared of something, these situations will automatically play out right in front of you, because your subconscious mind has this all of those fear induced in it. So now when you have these situations played right in front of you, you will be actually able to face it. And then when you come out of it, you will realize, okay, now I do not have that fear. Like just like I said, fear of judgment, I had this fear of judgment, but then it slowly just dissipated. So this is something that I realized and I learned. Now, one of my classmates, she got to know that I had a crush on him. She would try to make me, paint a picture of me that was bad. Like, she would spread rumors about me, especially to my twin. And he kind of, like, the same thing that happened with you as well, that misunderstandings just happen. So now my entire goal was to tell my twin that this is not the truth, and she is just lying about me, she's spreading rumors about me, please don't believe her. So you see, fear of being misunderstood, this was being played out right in front of me. But now I got to a point where I'm realizing, okay, if you misunderstand me, that's very much okay, because now you will be away from me, and that's me protecting myself from you. So now I have adapted this in me, that okay, if someone misunderstands me, it's up to them. I know myself. I know that in my position, what I am doing is right. What I am saying is right. How I feel is absolutely right. So I do not have to explain myself. So fear of being misunderstood was one thing that came out of this drama. Like my friend was saying something about me to him. The another was fear of me losing him. That also got induced in me, because at that time, because she was also trying to approach him, I was scared that she might be able to win him. So this was also kind of fear that I had at that time. The same thing kept on repeating. Like, I would encounter certain people, like third party situations would occur into my life, and they would induce the same fear in me. Same sort of fear, like fear of losing him, fear of being left out, and fear of him never reciprocating me. So all these fears were just getting induced in me because of these situations that were coming into my life, these third party situations. So it would keep on repeating. Like, the repetitive patterns would keep on happening until and unless I realized, okay, this is why it was happening, because it was trying to teach me something. And these third party would go, like, they would definitely leave our lives after 2 to 3 months of their whole drama. Then I had this fear of rejection, and because of this very reason, I always thought that, okay, he should never get to know. Like, I don't care if the whole world knows that I have feelings for him, but he should never know. He should never know, because if he knows it, everything is ruined. My whole friendship is ruined, every single thing is ruined. And that's exactly what happened. Like, one of his friends, he got to know. And this friend, obviously, he went to him and he just blurted out every single thing. But he didn't react at all. Like, I don't know what his side of the story is. Like, I don't know what went on his mind or whatever. But he did not react at all. He was very much normal with me, like the way he used to talk. Now he got into a relationship. So again, one of my fear again came down. So he basically, someone else won his love. So they are now in a relationship. Now, this was a girl who I already knew, and she also knew that I had feelings for him. So she was trying to hide away all of these things. Now they got into a relationship, but the relationship lasted for about like maybe 4 to 5 months only. This was the period when I was in 10th grade. So 10th is usually board exams in here in CBSE. So that was the time which was very, very, like, I cannot express this how much in pressure I was at that time, because I had this pressure of studying also, because I wanted to score well. I had this pressure because of this whole thing also, and I do not wanted to just deny it, because this was very much valid. I had this periods of my life where I was completely in turmoil, and I did not know what to do, because I had no energy left in me to actually study, like to actually go and study. So, and especially because I got to know that this person is in a relationship. Now, on November 4th, 2018, that was the first time that I confronted, like after 4 years, like after 4 to 5 years, almost 4 years, that's when I got the courage actually. And it was not even a courage, I would say. It was just, I got to a point where I had no other choice but to tell him that, I have feelings for you. So that was the first time I told him, and he said, okay. And he just blocked me. So blocking and unblocking is like a very common thing that happens in every TF relationship. It is like one thing I have noticed is blocking and unblocking. Like birthdays are something, like I would be the most creative person on this planet who would make journals for him, diaries, writing letters, poems, doing all sorts of pop-up art, every single thing for his birthday. And he would never even consider I am a alive person. I am existing on this planet. So that's when I first told him, and he again blocked me. So I had been blocked in almost every platform that exists that exists on our app store and Play Store. Like every single social media platform, I had been blocked from there. So now it became very normal for me. Like now it became very much common for me. Like it I was very much neutralized by it, I would say. But of course, it still bothered me, because obviously I was being rejected. Like I felt a personal rejection from this. Now, after a few days after I confronted my love for him, I met him. Like he was going somewhere, and I was just like coming out of my school, like outside of my school, and he just was standing right in front of me. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, you are here, and you read my message, but you did not reply or something." Like I said something like this, and I remember him telling me that I knew what you wanted to say. I just wanted to hear it from you. Like, like he just said this, and I was like completely in my la la land, and I was completely in my delusional land. Oh my gosh, he said this to me. So then he just smugged and he went away. After 1 month of this incident, in Christmas, usually we have, like in our school, there is a celebration, right? In Christmas, usually. So after this Christmas celebration, I was crying because I was seeing him with his girlfriend, and they were very much like, just having fun and stuff. And I was very sad. And I got to one corner and I started crying. And I don't know from where he saw this. He came towards me to like little bit, console me. And he also started crying. At that time, I thought that maybe he had feelings for me, but he's not, saying it out. But now I realize it was because he was trying to empathize with me. He was trying to like, console me from a perspective which like he couldn't do anything about it. Like I tried to understand from his side, like in my own mind, like how it was for him. So then he also started crying, and that was the first time that we got into our first separation. I confessed. He obviously did not say anything. I wouldn't say he rejected, like he personally said, okay, like this, like I don't have feelings or anything like that. He just said nothing. He just said, okay, and that's it. And for the next 4 months, I focused in my studies because it was my 10th exam. So I had to score well. And thankfully, I did score well in that exam. And I also got awarded in my school for that. Like in that specific period, I did not speak to him at all, maybe once or twice, because he would message me like, Ronak, don't feel guilty. Ronak, don't feel sad. Ronak, do this. Please study. You have your exams. Like he would definitely, like as a friend, I'm promising you, he never made me feel left out. He would always encourage me as much as he could. Like, Ronak, you are good at artistic work. Like, because I was gifting him some of the stuffs that on his birthday and stuff, he would always encourage me. He would say, it's so beautiful, it's so pretty. But in as a friendly way, he would always encourage, always, like just like a normal friend does it. So I always felt good. But again, like if you are encouraging me as a friend, then why are you forgetting my birthday? Like if I am that, if I am doing something so special for you, if you are remembering all of that, then why can't you remember my birthday or some special? Like birthdays are, I can't describe. Like I did not enjoy my birthday since like I think 2015 and 16. I did not enjoy it at all because I would always cry on my birthdays, like 2 to 3 hours constantly just crying, crying, crying. So this was the first separation that happened. And one thing that I'm very grateful about is while I was writing letters to him, I wrote every single thing, every single thing that I wanted to mention. Like absolutely, if I get excited about him even turning back, or I got excited about him packing his bag, or like any single thing, I would tell it to him in that way, because we did not communicate a lot, like in like a verbal way, but I would write to him as much as I could, so that at least he knows my side of the story. At least he, and like somewhere I feel like, I don't know, but maybe I do not want to jinx it also, but I feel like these letters, these gifts, because he already told me that he was never going to destroy them, like he would never throw them away or he would never burn them away. I feel like this is going to be something twist, like like the plot twist kind of thing, which would be something related to what I gifted him, whatever I did for him. So like you get this feeling inside of you. And one more thing, he also taught me that you need to reduce your expectations. He literally told me that when he was in like in his soul, when he was operating from his higher self, he told me that, Ronak, you need to work on your expectations. You need to understand that nobody owes you anything. Just because you love someone does not mean that you need to like, and it was something completely unrelated. And he also told me that forgive people, forget them, and these types of things. And that's why I feel like, yeah, there is definitely something that was getting channeled in him, and he was trying to tell me all of that.
Absolutely.
One synchronicity that I want to share is that when like in examination halls, you usually get provided your roll numbers, and seat arrangements are based on the roll numbers. So I would always pray that I want this person, like my twin, to sit beside me whenever there is an exam. So this never happened. And one time, just one time, soon after I confronted my feelings for him, and we had our exams, and he was seated right next to me, literally just right next to me, not in the same seat as me but in the different row, but just exactly adjacent to me. Like I'm sitting here and he's just sitting next to me, and I am like, what, why is this happening now, what is the point of it happening now when everything is done already? And his presence for 3 hours, like constantly, and that comfortable silence, like obviously you're writing your exam, you would not talk, and he was sitting right next to me. And sometimes I would forget that, okay, this person is sitting right in, like, next to me, and I am like completely in my own world writing my answers, and I'm able to focus on myself. So his presence was there.
I'm trying to imagine this, and I would never want this to happen, at least in the exam, because I would just lose track of everything. Like I might not be able to write my paper also.
Now, how we got into reunion stage was when my results came out, like 10th results came out. And you will not believe me, for my preparation for the competitive exams preparation, my actually I decided that I wanted to move out of the city. I wanted to go away from him. I started preparing for the entrance exam. But my father decided, like, I did not get to know about this until much later. So it is like tomorrow I'm going to, like, I have a reservation for tomorrow. So I have booked my tickets for tomorrow. And yes, like today, my dad decides that, okay, now you're not going to that city. You're going to go in the same tuition as your twin. So like this was like a complete surprise for me, because he admitted me in the same institute as my twin. So again, this is how we reunited. He messaged me and telling me, why are you not leaving me? Why are you always coming back to me? Like, why is this always happening? You see, like always we come back to each other. So he did kind of say that, okay, why are you always coming back? Why are you always there? And I'm like, why are you always there? I was trying to run away from you, but you also came down. Like, he was the one who messaged me first. I did not text him that. This was something that I would count in as synchronicity, because that was very much like a phase of my life where I was like, okay, I'm coming back to him. He's coming back to me. So there is definitely something happening here. Then I decided that, Ronak, no matter what happens, you will not again get into that same situation. That means you will not again confess something like that to him. You will just treat him like your own friend. That's it. Like nothing more than friendship. That's how I started to go with the flow. But obviously that was not the case, because no matter how much you try to, confide yourself in a small box, that okay, my feelings are like this much for you, but that is not never the case. It will always grow and grow and grow until you come to a point where you actually have to tell that person. Unless you tell them, you will always have this very blocking feeling inside of you, like blocking energy is there always coming, and you're like, you want to tell it to them but you are not able to. Now, this time when I did tell him, and now he was in his second relationship, like first relationship was over after 3 to 4 months. Now he was in his second relationship. Now, I had so many fears. The first fear was obviously that I was going to come between two people who are already in a very happy relationship. So this was one fear. I knew that I was going to get rejected again. So, but then also I tried to like again start my creative journey, and I started to make again gifts for him, and I started to give him indirectly, and he really appreciated it. And this was very nice reunion. Like after this reunion, I thought everything was going to get okay. So I did not expect anything at this point. And of course, I did tell him again that, I had feelings for you and all of these things. And this time he literally just bashed out on me so like in the most arrogant way. Like no one has ever talked to me like that. And he just texted me that, you are now forcing me, you are completely expecting something out of me which I cannot provide you. I do not have feelings for you whatsoever, and I am in a very happy relationship, and blah blah blah. I was obviously very hurt, and this was like the lowest point at that time, especially because this was our second separation. So more and more intensity was blaring up, like it was coming again and again, every single thing that had already happened with me. And in December, he tried to reach out to me. He said, Happy New Year. Like that was one time he messaged me. And then again, I started to feel like, okay, maybe I still have a chance. Then again, I started to, make things for him. And this was my like love language kind of thing, I would say. Like if I love you, I would go out to create the most beautiful things for you so that you feel special about it. Like this is what an artistic approach is. So I always did these things, and he was very much grateful about it, but he never took it in that way, like he did not realize its worth, its value. He always just thought, okay, this is very beautiful, this is very special. So obviously I don't know what his side of the story is, like this is what I'm assuming. Then our final separation happened and it was like 2 days after my birthday. So I told him that if it's okay, you could come to my birthday because I would really like it if you would come to my birthday. And he said, okay. And I never thought he would come. So he called me and he said, okay, I am here at your location. Please pick me up. Like, where do I have to go? And I was shocked, completely shocked, because I never expected him to ever come to my place, like never ever. And he came to my place. We had small conversation. He also brought one of his friends with him because he wanted to make sure everything is not like nobody's crossing their boundaries. So kind of like had a small conversation, and that was the last time that I saw him. Like in 2020, that was the time when I last saw him. And after that, I got to know about the term twin flames. And as soon as I got to know about this term, I told him that, I read something like this, and it seems that something is matching with us, our relation, our connection. So that's when he said, okay, now it's too much. And that's when he blocked me out from every place and every single where and from every single social media. And that was the last time that I had this meeting with him. And that's where my actual spiritual journey started. Like that, in 2020, I had my partial awakening. I got to know about the term law of attraction. That was the first time I ever came to know this term, and I started applying it also. Like, firstly, I did not believe it, but then I said, okay, let's try. Maybe it works out. If it doesn't, that's okay. I have nothing to lose. So I did try it. I started to visualize, and I started, like, the visualization process and writing it out. So I wanted to have this text from him, and it did indeed came out. So like after a week, maybe, that was my first ever, like, a miraculous synchronicity that I felt. Like that was the first time I felt, okay, there is definitely something happening.
This
When I
thing
first,
also seems to be pretty common in many twin flame experiences,
yeah,
because even Achal shared in her journey that she got
yeah,
introduced to law of attraction and she tried it with the text message that
yeah,
can I really do affirmations? Even in my case, I was introduced to Power of Your Subconscious Mind. That was the
subconscious
first
mind, yeah.
book I read, and I got into law of attraction. There are many others. You are also telling me the same thing. So
So, like, this is how, some things are very much common in every twin flame journey, in almost every twin flame journey. So, when I got introduced to this term for the first time, law of attraction is, again, like you described, right? There is this carrot and there is a rabbit. Now, if you want that carrot, you have to run towards. So, this law of attraction is also like a kind of like a carrot, because you would obviously want something like that to happen to you. So that's when I got to know about law of attraction. So I kind of like started visualizing and all of that stuff. And then when this happened, right, like the last meeting of between us happened, that's when I realized that, okay, there is definitely something out there which is always listening, always. Because whatever I am, like, when I'm in the most autonomous state, like completely in automatic way, when I'm functioning, that's when my most manifestations happen, most of them, because I'm not completely, like, I'm out of expectations. I'm not having any, like, I have detached myself completely with the outcome. That's when my results starts to show up. So that's when I got introduced to this term, and that's the one of the first, I would say, synchronicities that happened with me. First time I realized that something like this does exist. I had like that experience of witnessing all of these things. People have this misconception about law of attraction, is that law of attraction is going to give you everything that you dream about, like everything that you have envisioned in your brain. I believe that whatever you have envisioned is just a little bit. It's just like a very small, like, it's like not even, I would say, a tip of an iceberg, because tip of an iceberg is also very big. It's very, very, you're just looking at it from one single narrow perspective. And what has been planned for you, it's way more beyond that. So I think you should trust on the fact. In fact, I got to a point where I did not even need law of attraction anymore. I did not need to even feel the need to attract anything. The abundance was coming into my life when I was being myself. The love was coming into my life when I was being myself, when I was accepting myself. So law of attraction is something that is naturally happening. You never have to worry
true,
about. And
true.
you also never have to worry about the negative experiences that are happening in your life, because they are always there to remind you how powerful you are. And another misconception is about the time. People think that the journey is supposed to be happening in a linear way, right? Like bubble phase and all of that. I never even
Yeah.
thought of reading these terms. But that is not the case. It can happen, anything can happen at any time. Any dot can connect itself with anything.
Absolutely.
You just have to watch it. You just have to see how beautiful things get. Now, for 1 year, I was completely isolated. Completely. I was in this stare stage, like the stare stage happens where your feelings are very much numbed out. Like you don't feel anything. And then I started questioning everything. Okay, why then the law of attraction work? Then I started to disbelieve this theory of twin flame and stuff, because now I started to detach myself from him. Now this is where the mental separation started happening. Like I already separated with him, but now the feeling started numbing out. Then I started questioning everything, that why is it happening? Maybe I indeed had infatuation for him. It wasn't like that kind of love. So I started to believe all of those things. But at that time, I started getting his dreams. Time to time, I would get his dreams. And the patterns of the dreams would be like, I'm trying to find him, but I'm not able to find him. I'm trying to search for him. I'm going to look for him, but I'm not. Like that feeling, it was driving me insane. It was making me miss him more and more and more. Because Dream is the only channel left for me now that where I would get to see him. Because in real life, all the passages are just completely blocked out. So this was the first time that I started noticing the patterns. Now I started, actually, I read your answers, right? In 2020, when I got to know about Twin Flame, I started reading your answers. And you always said that you should analyze your dreams, you should write them down, you should notice the patterns. And I started doing that. I did not believe in all of that, but I started doing that because I wanted to see where this is going. So I would get these dreams that he's not talking to me. If I'm trying to search for him, I'm not able to find him. He's upset with me. He has this like a sad face and he's angry face and all of that, those things. And they would trigger me so much, so much. Like I would experience that grief of not having him, that something has been snatched away from me. Something that I did not even have was snatched away from me. That was the kind of pain that I was having. And I stopped believing in everything. Like I stopped believing in love, patience, faith, every single thing that you can think of. So this was the stage of my life, which I would say a stare stage, where I was completely just numbed out. I released all of my expectations and I was just busy with my life. Like I was not doing some like anything. Like I was just studying a little bit. I kept on isolating myself. And I did not feel like doing anything, to be honest. Like that was the kind of thing. Like my energy was so exhausted. I was so drained out that now I did not have even energy to pick my book or even comb my hairs. Like even mundane things were something that I was not able to do. That was like a real dark night of the soul, I would say, that happened in my journey. So this was how 2021 and 2022 went. Like so, first year, like in 2021, when I did feel like my whole world was getting ripped apart, I started to pray a lot. Like before the day prior to his birthday, I prayed a lot. I also made like, the prasad you make for like when you are worshipping. So I did all of that because I wanted to get like a little bit close to him. That was like a kind of like a comfort thing for me. But in 2022, all of those things were completely just disappeared. I did not even think about his birthday. Okay, I thought, okay, today's his birthday and that's it. Nothing much. Now, in 2022, something amazing that happened was because I had nothing to lose. Like I was in this rock bottom kind of thing. I started to learn a lot of things about contracts. Contracts, as in, like in the law, in our society, whatever the laws and contracts and every single thing, how that works. So I started learning about them from a perspective of entertainment industry and music industry. I wanted to know what is going on in this world. I'd never had these interests because I never actually listened to music in that way. But I started listening to music and somehow I got into this whole world and I started researching. It's kind of like something that was drawing me towards it. So I was doing it completely out of no expectations. So I would research something and then I would make an account on Twitter, and I would release all of those things which I was learning from there. And when I started to do this, I did this for almost 1 year. Like constantly, I would post things, and I earned about how many 5,000 plus followers I got on Twitter. But I thought this is like not making any sense to me because this is something that I don't even want to do in my life. So I was looking at my life from a virtual perspective, like virtual part of my life, and one was real life, which I was trying to escape because I wanted to escape the work, the inner work that needs to be done. I was going towards this direction. So I was like, this is not beneficial at all. So I left it because I just lost the energy to do it anymore. Now I had nothing to, distract myself. Like I had to do the work. Like I had no other option. So I was watching one of this YouTube videos from Liz, like the Wizard Liz is the name of this YouTuber. And she said in one of her videos, which really resonated with me, is that if you are trying to find a different life out of your own life, if you're trying to indulge yourself into some of the habits like listening to music so much or binge eating, stuffing yourself with these things because you want to numb the pain that's here, you are trying to escape from something, you're trying to run away from something. And that's when I started to realize, okay, yes, I am indeed running from something. I have something that is calling me, it's wanting my attention, but I was not paying the attention towards it. Like this was year 2022 December, like in the very last, and maybe even January 2023. That's when I got to introduce to this term called shadow work. This was the first thing that I got introduced with when it came to my healing journey. So I started doing shadow work, and then I got to learn about NDE, near death experience, from Anita Moorjani's book, Dying to Be Me. I read the complete book, and I remember even Padnyaa ma'am, your friend Padnyaa ma'am, also got to know about this near death experience, and that was the closest she said that she came to know. And that was something that I started reading. I also saw some of the Heart Alchemist channels that were on YouTube, and they were teaching about how to heal yourself and how to balance your chakras. And I started to just completely, like, the seeker who wants to learn every single thing that's available on internet. So every single thing that was resonating with me, I was keeping it, and every single thing that I did not find very beneficial for me, I just discarded it. That's when I started my actual healing process. Now, I would like to describe that. But before that, I would like you to ask me certain things because it's me only who is speaking constantly.
That's okay. If it is coming in the flow, it's completely okay.
Yeah. So post awakening was that. Mid awakening was partially awakening, where I got to know introduced to the term law of attraction and twin flames. And now comes my actual awakening, post awakening journey, when I got to know about the term spiritual awakening. And I tried to validate it, that whether I'm actually experiencing something like that or not, or is it just something that I'm making myself up. So then I started to watch more and more YouTube videos. I again, browsed back to your page, and I was learning through each and every answer, every single answer that I could possibly find in your page. I was browsing through that. Every podcast that you had made, I was again going through that, because now the entire thing that I thought I was discarding because I believe that, it's just not my cup of tea. I again went back to it. I again started browsing your channel. I again started watching your videos. I again started reading all of your answers. And that's when I started my actual journey. Now, I would like to talk about how I did what I did, like the shadow work and all of that thing. So, firstly, I started with observing myself. The first thing that I did was observing how I talk to myself, how I talk to other people, what is the first thing that I think of when I look at someone. So the first thing that I started realizing was I was very much judgmental, very judgmental. Like I would suddenly have a perception about someone. Okay, this person is not right for me. This person is okay for me, or like this, certain kind of like perception I had about people. And then I started to go with the layers of why. Like, why am I like this? Why am I doing this? And I realized that it was coming from a place of self comparison. Like, I was comparing myself to these people. That's why I was judging them and myself. Right. And then I started to understand, why am I comparing myself? That's when I realized that because I wanted to be above them. I wanted to have this feeling that I'm above them. I wanted to have this competition between us, and I always wanted me to be above them. And then I started to understand, why is it happening? And that's when I realized that when I was very young, our elders, usually especially our relatives, they will always compare, kids. Like if my parents will compare me with other people's kids, I would normally feel bad, because no one likes it, when you're being compared. No one wants to prove you. And that's when I started proving myself more and more, when I was a kid and I was being compared with other people. And that kind of you know just invented this paradigm of competition inside of me, that I always have to be in this competitive zone. I will always look at other people from a perspective of competition, that this is my competition. This person is someone I have to go above with. And that's how I always navigated my academic life as well. So I never learned from a place of love. That means I want never learn from a place of, okay, I actually want to learn, but from a place of fear that if I don't meet up the expectations of my elders, my parents, and everyone, I would be feeling abandoned out of it. So this is how one by one, each and every layer I started to resonate with, and I started to heal them. So firstly, the judgment part. And so firstly, when the judgment came, then I started to understand, how can I heal this thing? How can I heal this wound inside of me? So then an answer came to me, is that every person has their own journey. If someone is on their chapter 12, I may be on my chapter 10, or I may be on my chapter 13. It does not matter. Every person is living out a different life than me. The least I can do, because every person is going through things that I do not know of, the least I can do is be very compassionate to them, is very empathetic towards them. So I trained my mind into being very, very positive, because I believe that if you have this negative perception about someone, it is not them who is getting affected out of it. It's you who is getting affected. Your energy field will have these negative blockages to, which will hold you back. So then when I started to, have positive perceptions about other people and opinion, that's when my mind automatically started to look from a place of compassion instead of this competition perspective. So this was the first thing that I healed. And I am very, very happy, because now when I look at other people, I have tears in my eyes when I think about them. Every time I look at someone, and if I get inspired by them, I will have tears in my eyes, because that's how much love I feel for them. That's how much compassion I feel for them. So this was the first thing that I tried to heal. Now, one misconception and one point actually that I wanted to add is that people have conception that we are the one who are consciously healing ourselves, when this is not the case. It's the universe, it's the divine who is healing us. We are just getting aware of these things. We are just consciously observing these patterns. We are getting aware of it. We are doing the work that needs to be done. The rest is upon the Lord, because he is the one who is trying to navigate us through the parts where, I need to heal myself. So this was something that I realized, and I started to observe more and more about myself. Then I started to forgiveness. Forgiveness was one thing that I wanted to really work upon, because it gives us a lot of guilt, right? Like, I've had a lot of guilt inside of me for what I did to others and what they did to me, obviously. So I wrote down the name of like 15 to 20 people in my life who I had, even if there was a small grudge between us, I wrote that, because I did not wanted to skip anything. So I wrote everyone's name, and in the last I wrote my twin's name, because I knew that there was a lot of things that I needed to cover when it came to him. So when I started to go one by one, my teachers, my relatives, my friends, even my other, like your classmates and any random person, everyone I could think of, I wrote their name, and I started one by one to, like, imagine that they're sitting right in front of me and have this conversation with them. And I would, obviously the purging process was there. Now when it came to my twin flame, I knew that there was so much that needed to be said, that there was so much that needed to be healed within me. So then I realized one thing, that every single thing that other people were trying to teach me, for example, if you are trying to teach me that you should be more patient, you should be more, patient with yourself, so you would always, I would get into a situation with you where you will try to trigger those things in me. So my twin flame is like a whole package. He's like a whole package who is trying to teach you everything. It's like a syllabus of everything, and every single person is the repetition of those specific things that you need to learn, the lesson that you need to learn. So when I started to get into that, that's when I realized the spiritual aspect of this connection. That's when I realized that, okay, there is something that I needed to learn when I first knew about the term twin flame. That is what Pradnya ma'am was talking about when she said that you have to do the inner work. That is what she was trying to say when she said that you need to forgive yourself more, because forgiveness is the biggest form of self-love. Forgiveness is something, love is all about forgiveness and acceptance. That's what I believe. So that's when I started to note down all the points, like a rejection. So if I was feeling rejected, I would certainly try to understand what is it that I had to offer, what is it inside of me apart from the paradigm that I had, like my body, my looks, anything that was there, I discarded it, and I started to understand what I had within me. How was I inside? So what kind of person I was? And I realized that there is so many things that I had to offer to the other person. So it's like a pleasure, it's like a gift to have me, it's like a blessing to have me. So I started viewing myself from that perspective now. And I try to, like the birthdays, right? Like the small expectations that you have, like I want my twin flame to do this and that and text me and sing happy birthday for me, and all of those expectations, I started giving it to myself. I started making cards for me. So I had always made cards for my twin, but I never made card for myself ever on my any birthdays. So I started making cards for me. I started to get in those playfulness of me, which I needed at that time. So I also read one quote, and it said that whatever you are giving out into this universe is something that you are expecting out of this, like from this universe. So if you are trying to take care of someone very, very profoundly, you also want that care to happen to you. So this was something that I started to notice, and that's how this personal process started to happen. I'm sure everyone is understanding this, because like it's very common now. And this is how I started to also navigate through other wounds that I had, for example, judgment, ignorance, and misunderstanding, guilt, and all of that. So I would write them down. I would try to understand why it was happening, like the layers of whys. And then I would get into this position where I was trying to understand what can I do about it? How can I heal this? And if I'm not able to find a solution, I would just leave it to the divine, that, okay, teach me how to love myself. Okay, one thing which very special that happened with me, and it was like a biggest synchronicity, I would say. I knew what it feels like to love someone. I knew how it feels like to give the love to someone, but I don't know how it feels like to be loved by someone. So I tried asking divine, okay, tell me, how does it feel like to be loved by someone? How does it feel like to have this self-love thing? I want to realize this. So then I was browsing through some of my photos, and I wrote this poem for my twin flame. And in that, I had mentioned, okay, I love your pimples. Like, I love every single thing about you. I don't care if you have pimples on your face. I love you then. I don't care if you are bald. I do not care if you have any hair on your head, although I love his hair. So I don't care about that. I don't care about how you look. I don't care about whether you have hurt someone or not. I just don't care about any of those aspects. That's when I realized, okay, so if I'm capable of loving this person to an extent where none of the conditions are applied, which is exactly what unconditional love is all about, how about I turn this love towards me? Because that's exactly what God is trying to tell me, that, okay, I love you just the way you love your twin. So it's like unconditional aspect is there. So that's when I turned it towards me, and I'm like, okay, I tend to judge myself when I have pimples on my face, when my hair is not looking nice, when I'm not dressed nice, but I never judge my twin over that. So I started to analyze these types of things in my journey. So, like, slowly and slowly, I started to have this connection with, now the connection was between me and the divine, not between me and twin. Like, I was very, very grateful about him, very, very grateful that he tried to teach me all of these things unknowingly, unintentionally, and yet he gave me so much that I had to learn. So there was like a huge, huge guilt also, and there was like a huge, huge, gratefulness was also there. Gratitude was also present. So then I started to ask universe more questions. How do I trust you? How do I keep faith in you? So now I had all these situations coming into my life which were testing me. Like my faith was being tested. Like, for example, my exams, I did not, like I told you, like I was not very much into my exams because I was not interested in that. I was doing something because I wanted to seek validation from other people, right? And that's how like engineering and doctor, like especially these medical fields and engineering fields, are something which tries to give you this status of elevation, that, okay, I am better, I have this more security. So but I always wanted to do something that involved my creative side, always, like something related to art and craft, and this playfulness stuff. And that's when God lead me towards my path of creating my artworks, and just being very freely, just painting and drawing and all of those
One
things.
more question, that when you started doing your art, what prompted you to do the mandalas? Because you are doing mandalas, right? So what was your
Yeah.
inspiration behind that?
Yes. So basically, I got introduced to this term mandala, which is mandala in our Sanskrit and Hindi also, by one of my brothers. Like, he was his one of his sisters. She was into this mandala process. Now she was making these paintings, she was drawing, and these patterns, they were very attractive for me. Like I always wanted to try something that was very, like, it looked beautiful, it looked complex, so I wanted to like simplify it and make it in my own way. So I like doing these things. And the patterns, especially the patterns, were what was attracting me towards, trying it and doing it. It was not something that I was trying to do because I wanted to sell it or something. I just wanted to try it because it was so beautiful, and I knew that there was beauty inside of me which needs to come out, and the artwork was one of the most beautiful things that you can try. So that's when I started to just normally paint in a, like, started learning the basics of painting and how to hold the pens and stuff. And when the results started to come out of those paintings, they were very, very beautiful, and that's what kept me going towards this whole process of painting. And also, one thing that I have learned is mandala is a meditation, also, like a meditative process is also something that mandala offers. So meditation is also one thing that I always wanted to learn. When I was doing my chakras meditation, no, meditation is something, and I'm like a person who does not want to sit for too long, in some one position. So this type of mandala, like meditation, was something that is very, very creative. It is something that would always keep me invested, and I did not even realize how 6 hours would go by, and I would still enjoy the process. I would not feel tired at all. And this is what happens when you are, in the high vibration frequency, is you stop thinking about eating, you stop thinking about any other thing. You just enjoy the process, the present moment. So yeah, that's how I got motivated.
That's so amazing. And I have seen so many people, especially at a certain stage of separation, when they start getting more and more towards their own balance, these things would start unlocking that whole
Yeah.
third energy getting converted into a creative output.
Yeah.
That some,
True.
no,
Very true.
some divinity is flowing through you, and if it's coming out in a more structured and beautiful way instead of
And
being
you
wasted somewhere. So
Yeah, true. Because when I started painting for the first time, like the mandala process, I realized that I did not even had to try. Like I did not had to even learn the basics. It just naturally came out
yeah,
of me. Yeah, and of course, when I was doing this, I was remembering your words, how you were saying that, when you are in the healing process, all the baggage that is inside of you, you are releasing it. And everything that was meant to be for you, that is what is going to flow from you. So I believe that the artwork is one of the biggest examples that is resonating with what you said. How I started to understand what is trust, what is faith, is when God was trying to tell me that, okay, the 5,000 followers that you had earned from Twitter, which you thought were useless, were pointless, those are the same people who are going to buy your artworks. Like, let me show you how beautiful it gets, how surprising it gets. And I realized universe loves to surprise us when we are not expecting something out of it. Universe loves to show us the ways which we had never thought. Like I had never thought that I had created that Twitter account because I wanted to share something about contracts and legal stuff. I would never expect that audience to buy my artwork. So you see the connection that the universe tried to match between me and them is just beautiful. And that's how I started to actually surrender. That's when I started to surrender about my, like, anything, like, whether it's academics, whether it's my healing journey, whether it's something to do with anything, like any aspect of my life, it's completely getting surrendered. So if I'm getting rejected, it's a protection for me, it's a redirection for me. If something is getting delayed, there is something much better waiting for me. So the perspective, the entire perspective just changed. And this is how I came to a realization that every single aspect of the higher vibration energies, like trust, faith, and love, unconditional love, is what is keeping me sane. Like it is what is the backbone of this whole journey. This is what it is trying to teach me. Like just the way you told in your videos also, that love, faith, patience, and unconditional love is what is trying to, like, this is what is being taught to you through this journey. So that is how I navigate.
amazing. So whatever you have said so far, it's a very clear indication that you are a very self-reflective person, and this is how anybody needs to be. And I really want to say this on, particularly on this talk show, that I meet so many people and it's very natural to go through pain. Most of the people are getting to that place where they don't understand anything, they get lost, they are crying, they're blaming somebody else for what is happening to me. All that is true, real, and everybody goes through this. But ultimately, what matters is that are you getting back up on your 2 feet, and
Yeah,
are you really self-reflecting in your own life, and are you getting to the next milestone?
milestone. Yeah.
You have showcased that in a very perfect way
Thank
or
you so
perfect
much. Thank
manner.
you very much.
Because this is what I mean. Whenever I'm putting my answers on Quora, or so many times I have said that this is not about spoon feeding. I mean, even if
Yeah,
somebody is trying to tell you what to do, or somebody becomes your way shower or a guide, ultimately the journey is in your hands, and you
yeah,
have to introspect. There is nothing which is going to be ready, which is going to be fed to you and bang, like, you are there with your twin
definitely.
flame. That's never going to happen. Like, that whole self
And
reflective
it's,
journey
yeah,
and inner work needs to take place. So whatever you were speaking so far, it was kind of a living example that, okay, this is how you need to introspect, and this is how you need to.
yeah.
So
Exactly. Because I see on YouTube, when when you are learning, especially about the law of attraction, they say that you have to leave it on universe. The last process is to just trust the universe. The last process is to love yourself. The last process is to live your life. And I am like, how? How do you do that? How do I realize that I have to trust? How do I realize I have to love? And that's what was like, oh gosh, I want to find the answer. And I found out those answers by myself, and I'm very proud of that. While I was like on my mental diet thing, like I was talking to myself, I became my own therapist and all of that. I started to realize I was getting these thoughts in my head, like, treat yourself like you would treat your own child. And I'm like, yes, exactly. You love your child unconditionally. Like, I do understand there are certain conditions that get involved in the process, right? But when it's a small child, you have no expectations for them. You would always want them to feel good about themselves. You would never want them to cry alone somewhere isolated. You would want to be there for them. And that's where I just, like, I started treating myself like that. So I started to ask myself what I wanted, what I needed, what are the things that I loved. So I started to do all of those things. And that's actually one of the things that is trying to teach you how beautiful this journey is all about. And it's not even about twin flame, to be honest. It's about every person is having these experiences. It's just that who is observing these experiences, who is realizing these things. And this is all
absolutely.
about how what divine has decided. Like, if I am learning something at the age of 18, like if I have started the introspection journey at the age of 18, it does not mean that someone who has started their introspection journey at 32 is behind me. Because this is all planned out. Like, divine has planned out that at this point only you will realize it, at this point only you will
Yes,
start your healings. So this is something that I want to tell others. Please never think that you are behind or far better than someone. You
true.
are always in the same trajectory as the other people, because we are all coming from a source and going back to the source. So there is no point of
Absolutely.
comparison here. Like, this is a very prime example of how ageless this journey is all about.
Yeah.
You can be a twin flame at the age of 50, 60, 70. At any point you can encounter them, right? And just like me also, I encountered them, my twin flame, at 12, when I was 12, and you also encountered when you were 13. So this is not about who is encountering when. And I have seen people who want to encounter it faster. Like, I just want to meet my twin flame. Like, they have got to know about this term, like you said it, right? And they want to meet their twin flame. That is not how it goes, right? If
But
you
that's
just,
that's like a
yeah,
fascination of the label, that
label,
you read
exactly,
something
that's the
about twin
fascination.
flames, that it sounds very fascinating, and because
Yeah.
it sounds very fascinating, you want to meet your twin flame. But the person who actually knows what it is to meet a twin flame would never ever willingly wish
Ever.
in their human self to meet,
Yeah.
to go through a twin flame experience. I
True.
mean, with your ego mind, you would not choose it, for sure.
Never, ever. And to be honest, I think instead of questioning that when I'm going to meet my twin flame, you should actually start to understand what is exactly happening in this journey. The entire self love thing and the healing thing, that is actually the main thing that needs to be done for the ascension of the planet. Do that. Okay, if you have got to know about this term, that's actually very good. Now get into that and start the process which needs to be done, the
Yeah,
work that needs to be done. So yeah,
exactly.
that is also one thing.
Cool. One remaining and the most interesting question is, where do you think you are standing right now when it comes to both the things, your twin flame journey as well as your internal journey?
Okay. So I believe that I am at a surrender stage of my life. I truly believe that because I think now I'm operating from a place where I do not have any expectations surrounding. If it works out beautiful. If it does not work out, something definitely much better and more beautiful is waiting for me. It was very difficult for me to actually validate that I am at the surrender stage, but then I realized that I was not very anxious about things anymore. Like I was not worried if he texts me. I was not worried if I ever get to see him again. Like even if I don't get to see him again, I am at that point in my life where I'm like, okay, he gifted me so much, and I was able to tell him thank you at least one time or many times. So that is okay with me. So yeah, I would believe that, yeah, that is in the surrender journey. And internally, I would say that I'm still, of course, healing is a continuous process. It never just, just stops at some point. So I'm obviously doing it time to time, but I do not force myself for anything. Like I used to think that I have to do the inner work daily. Like I would keep on writing shadow work questions, keep on writing. And then I realized I do not have to force anything. It will happen naturally. So then I started to enjoy more things, like even if I don't want to do meditation, I will not do it. It's not like I am
Yeah.
lazy or something. I will not do it because if I don't feel like doing something, I will not. It is also the case for my artwork also. If I don't feel like creating any artwork, I will not create it. No matter what happens, I will just lay in my bed and do something or something else, right? Like talking to myself. Talking to myself is something that I love doing. Love. Like I have like this on my terrace. I would go for 1 hour without my phone, without anything else, and I would just whatever I want to talk to myself, I would talk to myself. And in that process, I would get so many beautiful answers, so much of knowledge
Yeah.
that I never thought I had. I was like, oh my gosh, am I the human or I am the god? That was something that I was facing. So yeah, that is how I would say I am at the juncture.
This monologue which you're talking of, talking to yourself, there is one more person who always sends me emails. She sends me emails of her monologue. So she's recording what she's talking to herself.
Yeah, I
And
also do that, of course.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then she sends it to me, not everything, but some few things which she feels like sharing.
Yeah.
And that's when, for the first time, I realized, I mean, till the time she actually shared her own monologues, it's exactly like writing a journal, right? It's just that
Yeah.
whatever is
True.
coming to your mind, you are just talking it out instead of writing it down. Listening to her monologues was a new realization for me, that it's a combination of writing a journal and also receiving a guidance. Because when you're talking,
Yeah.
as you said, you would start realizing that it's not you who's talking, probably something else is coming through you. And it's
Definitely.
which is so evident in her recordings. I loved that way of receiving guidance. And if you're
Yeah.
doing that, amazing.
And I also read some of the people, and I also watched some of the YouTube channels, and they would be like, I was on my trance meditation and I received this and I received that. And I did try it. I'm not gonna lie. I did try it. I did try for like maybe 1.5 hours. Okay. I was meditating. I was like, okay, I want to reach that stage. I want to reach. But that is not possible because what
Yeah,
is for you, you will find your own way. You will find your own method. You will find your own
absolutely.
creative side.
Absolutely.
So you do not have to go and sit there for meditation process and be like, okay, yeah. And please, I have read people talking that I wake up, then I journal, then I do this, then I do that. I understand where it comes from, totally. But it's not like if you don't do it, you are on the
Out on
wrong track.
something. Yeah.
Yeah. So please just accept that, okay, today I do not want to do the journaling process. I do not want to talk to myself. I do not want to do any of that. I just want to eat something good. I just want to, play with kids or something like, some creative or fun side. I want to talk to my relatives or your sisters or brothers or whoever you want to talk to. So this is how you live your life. It's like you're not restricting the flow of what needs to be happening.
Yeah.
So that is something that I do not want anyone to feel guilty of not being consistent about something. It's okay if you're not consistent. You will automatically get to the point where you will get consistent, or you will get to a point where you would want to do something. Like recently when I started to paint, I was not feeling it. My Even my hands were started to get, very
Yeah.
shaky. So,
Yeah.
then I started to realize, okay, I need to take a little pause. I need to just relax. And my mind was automatic, like, okay, now let's start writing. Now let's start writing. And now suddenly the whole shakiness thing just left, because I was meant to write, at that specific moment. So please be very guilt free of this thing.
So
Yeah.
true. I even in, like as you said, in my case, most of my guidance would come when I'm writing. I mean, otherwise also it comes, but writing is the most strong modality or channel or whatever you would call.
Yeah.
And I also discovered it pretty late. Like I was not realizing that whenever I'm writing, I'm actually receiving a lot of information. I realized it way much later in that process. And then it was like a aha moment kind of thing for me that, oh, okay,
Definitely.
I have been
Yeah,
writing so
definitely.
much.
And I realized that it was in these aha moments where you will feel the divine connection.
True,
It's in
true.
these moments, because when I realized that, okay, loving myself means accepting myself, to know myself. And when
Yeah.
I was receiving these answers, I was like, okay, this is insane.
And
Actually,
that's where
yeah,
you start realizing that whatever you are searching for, that whole divinity, that where is it, like, and then there is this moment, and then you realize that it has always been with you. It's just
true.
that it's just about that click where you understand
Yeah,
that it's
inner
always been.
click. Exactly. Yeah, inner knowing. True. Like I read some people saying, okay, I feel like we are one soul in two bodies, kind of thing. Like you also mentioned it, right? And I was like, I also want to feel this. Like, if people are thinking that it's only singularity, there is no duality. I also want to, like, I still haven't reached that point actually. I want to admit this. I want to feel that feeling of having this singularity version, where I'm able to feel very much connected with my twin to an extent where I don't feel like having his physical presence to satisfy me, to satisfy my eyes or my vision. So I just want to reach to that point also. And I'm sure that I'm going to reach that point very soon. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So you read people's experiences and you're like, oh my gosh, I also want to experience this. But maybe they have reached that stage where they have, felt that way. So it's okay. You will also reach at some point. So you have nothing to rush. You have nothing to worry about.
I'm sure as you progress, this is not going to be your last interview here. Probably there will be many more coming as you have more and more things to realize and share. Probably
Yeah.
next time you will be sharing the energetic union experience. You never know.
Yeah, definitely. That's something that I want to realize.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Ronak. It is so
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks to
inspiring.
you, actually. Thank you.
It is very, very inspiring to listen to you, and I'm sure there are a lot of people who are going to get inspired by whatever you have shared. So, thank you very much.
One
Cool.
more thing, if you want to say something else about me, I'm so eager to know from you because I have always received your guidance.
One thing I definitely can say that in the long run, this would be like just one of the very small initial phases of your journey. Maybe it's like just a tip of the iceberg, but there is so much
Yeah,
more to come. So, yeah, I think there will be so many things which will unfold later, which will be even more amazing and miraculous. He realizing certain things or he acknowledging certain things. There are so many things which might unfold when you least
yeah,
expect. So,
definitely.
that's something which you can definitely look forward to, not from the expectation perspective, but from the
How
general
amazing it can
understanding.
get. Yeah, how miraculous it can get, and how, like from the curiosity perspective.
Yeah,
Thank you so much, Pradnya ma'am. Thank you very much. I hope to meet you one day.
absolutely. We will meet someday.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
I'm
And
sending
all the
you.
best to you. You must have
Thank you.
like got prepared to